Welcome back to New York City, everybody. I'm Coach Todd. We are in Manhattan today. We're actually in the Flatiron area, and I have with me, returning again, head coach of Manhattan Barbell, as well as a national lifter, Ryan DeGennaro. And I have him back. Last time he was here, we were talking about our new strength cycle. So we're starting a new strength cycle on July 10th. Yes, so it's going to be a Saturday, July 10th. Our 6-week focus is going to be power snatches. It was hang power snatches, so we were working on that second pull starting from above the knee. And now we're going to be taking it down to the ground and working on the first pull, getting from the ground to right above the knee, sort of that transition point going into the second pull. So I was talking to Coach Brian about it, asked him some of his thoughts of what he would be telling his lifters if they were on that same progression, and we're going to see what he has to say. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
For sure.
So one of the biggest issues people have when they transition from a hang lift to the floor is getting the knees out of the way and getting themselves into the same position or as close to the same position in the, as they were in the hang position. So that transition from floor to here before they extend tends to be where people fall apart.
Yeah.
And I have a simple little trick, I can say. Nice simple little trick that allows you to self-check and self-correct in your start position. So once you address that bar and you get into your start position, wherever your feet and wherever your hands are, once you're balanced, nice little simple self-check is to ensure that your knees and your arm are more or less in the same plane at the start position. If they start in the same plane here, as I lift off, my knees come out of the way and the barbell will stay close to the body. Versus if I have my knees pushed too far forward, it's much more difficult to get my knees out of the way. It scrapes the shin or it'll lift around the knees. So this little simple self-check right before you begin the lift is a nice, easy way to get yourself into a good position and set up for a good power snatch from the floor.
From your experience, what do most people do? What in their setup? Are they too far forward or too far back?
In my experience, I notice people have a tendency to try to get too far forward because the starting position is a little lower than you would set up for a clean or even a deadlift.
Yeah.
And they tend to take it a little too far.
Yeah.
Too far down.
Yeah, so that's my experience with it too, is that it's usually a little too forward and they're not able to get the knees back enough when they're coming in, which usually means the bar's going to be in front, so they're going to be hopping in front, yes. So if we do have that starting position correct, we're using that cue, that helpful cue you just told us. Going from the ground to just above the knee, is there any other common mistakes, after they get the setup position that we want to be looking out for?
If you start correctly, I tend to notice that almost eliminates all mistakes. If you start correctly, you'll finish correctly.
Yeah.
But often you can see what will happen, especially for beginner people. They will still have a tendency to lift the hips prematurely and drop the chest. So instead of maintaining this back angle to that mid-thigh position, they'll have a tendency, even if they start correctly, to straighten the knees too much and drop the chest. And then it ends up putting a little too much strain on the back.
Yeah, the timing of picking up the chest while also pulling the knees back maybe seems straightforward for some people, but it definitely doesn't click in a lot of people's heads. And so, yeah, for sure. I know like the coaching cue that we use in all the locations is trying to get them to keep the angle of their torso constant as they're moving up, and that's pretty challenging.
Just like when they squat.
Yes, for sure, for sure. Another thing that I envision that we're going to be seeing a lot of is, and I was really guilty of this for years, is thinking that it's like one speed off the ground and that speed is fast. If I don't go fast and this bar is heavy, then I'm not going to be able to move it. And so after years of coaching and seminars and all this stuff, trying to learn that like it's a controlled deadlift until the hang and then an acceleration from there was really hard for me to believe or understand. So I'm just curious if you have had similar experiences.
Yes, and even to an extent on the opposite end of the spectrum, sometimes people get into the habit of going too slow and then having an abrupt change of speed.
Sure.
So instead
overcorrecting.
Exactly. So instead of thinking of slow then fast, I could even, I kind of throw you off, but I would think even fast, faster, fastest.
Oh, sure.
So it's never going to be slow at any point. It's just going to get progressively faster throughout.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean just ripping it from the floor.
Right.
If you rip it from the ground, you can't go faster necessarily. And actually, hopefully you can hear it, but if I rip the barbell from the ground, you can hear the plates click pretty abruptly and aggressively. If these were metal, it'd be even louder.
Right.
So if you lift off the ground correctly, it should be a fairly quiet click or almost no click at all.
Yeah, that's great. So we're going to be spending 6 weeks. We're going to be working on from above the knee, from the ground, starting from the ground, and then going on that full lift. We're going to be doing that Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Queens every Saturday. The times vary, but sometime in the afternoon. Tickets are going to be available on the 4th of July for our next cycle that starts on the 10th. So hopefully we'll see you in Manhattan, in Brooklyn, or in Queens. If you're interested, we only have workouts on Saturdays. Coach Brian here, his Manhattan Barbell Club meets 5 times a week. 4 times a week. If you're interested in getting more into the Olympic weightlifting than just maybe 1 time a week, then definitely look up Manhattan Barbell Club on Instagram, and then you can find Coach Brian there. Thank you very much for sharing your experience. I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll see you at a Saturday workout sometime soon. Take care.